We are now going to take a look at some of the advantages of using the iPad within the classroom. As mentioned earlier, Apple have created a vast range of applications for both personal and educational use. On an educational level, the list is endless of programs and features that the iPad has. For English students, the iPads can act as a dictionary and a thesaurus. They hold poem collections, grammar programs, and details on referencing. For students learning science, there is a great application of the science periodic table. This actually enables students to not only visualize the table, but by simply selecting one of the elements with a double click, a slide will open giving broader details. For maths and physics, children will no longer need to remember the formulas that make up physics questions. There are also language applications that allow translation, visual text, and word pronunciation. The list then extends to calendars, diaries, note keepers, and more. As well as specific educational applications, the wealth of information available over the internet is endless. So by using wireless internet, children will have extensive information at their fingertips. The e-textbooks are another advantage on the iPad. E-textbooks over time will save not only money due to the cost cutting of having each student with their own textbooks, but obviously saving on paper and allowing the students to no longer have to carry multiple heavy materials to and from the school. Rather, they will just be carrying one iPad containing all relevant textbooks for each of their subject areas. Student-to-teacher communication, as well as student-to-student communication and teacher-to-teacher communication, will also be made easier through use of the iPad. Notes can go home to parents via email or private messages containing reports, information, or any details need to be taken home. Relatively cheap costs are another advantage of the iPad. Apple are also offering discounts to bulk purchases that are made, and obviously if the Australian government is going to do bulk purchases for every child within their state schools, Apple will be offering a substantive discount. New classroom teaching strategies will also be made available, having the teachers being able to do whole group work and internet uploads without leaving their classroom. And lastly, interoperability, with iPads connecting very well with iPods, iPhones, and MacBooks. Students believe all of these pieces of technology to be fun, allowing a longer attention span and more enjoyed student learning.
So here we found a quote that relates to the disadvantages of the iPad and ICT technologies. One laptop or one PDA for each student holds the potential of transforming classroom teaching and learning as we know it today. However, the possibility for classroom management challenges multiplies with mobile computing. Inappropriately surfing the internet or damaging the computers are two examples of potential management problems.
Furthering on from the disadvantages of the iPad, we have the financial costing for the governments to implement into all schools in each state of the nation.
We have costs for user interface tutorials. This includes parents, teachers and students.
There's costing for security programs and usage issues.
The implementation of a whole new ICT system in schools over an existing ICT system.
Having to install Mac-friendly devices.
What will be done with existing hardware like laptops, desktop computer labs and projectors.
Students and teachers using the iPad inappropriately, both in school and outside of school hours.
Ethical issues between students and teachers, contacting students at inappropriate times. This could be late at night or early morning.
Viability. Can Apple supply the amount needed to introduce an iPad to every student and teacher? Is there support and infrastructure available for repairs and upgrades to the iPad?
And lastly, the lack of writing on paper and reading actual books. Will children, students and teachers lose their penmanship skills or the ability to write legibly on paper?
Now just looking at the federal and state government positions on implementing the iPad within schools across Australia. Firstly, the Rudd Labor government hopes to arm every public high school student with their own computer by the end of next year, and has let the states choose what type of hardware they receive. Essentially, this is a good policy. Having each student having a laptop would be a great thing, or a computer, but the Rudd Labor government has been in for a few years, and we still haven't seen every student in the nation having a laptop or some sort of technological ICT device for their schooling. Looking at it from a state point of view, however, Queensland could be the first state to tap into the federal government's $2 billion Digital Education Revolution fund to purchase Apple's sleek new tablet computer, the iPad. But once again, this hasn't eventuated, and the iPad has just only been released in America, so we could be waiting a little while for this to happen. And lastly, the Queensland Department of Education and Training Chief Information Officer David O'Hannigan said that based on information released from Apple, the iPad appeared to be a supplementary technology that could complement existing technology within schools. This is probably the most realistic look at the iPad being implemented in schools. Instead of throwing out the old system or existing system of laptops and desktop computers, a more joining of the two technologies together to work in a cohesive way could possibly be achieved.
Okay, so we've come to our conclusive thoughts now. From this investigation, our group has summarised that the iPad has the potential to revolutionise or change the way students learn inside and outside the classroom. Before the iPad is implemented, however, there are some variables to consider.
Trial periods within schools need to occur before it's implemented on a wide scale. This is to ensure a smooth transition of the iPads into schools, ensuring that they are actually beneficial not only to students, but the teachers and parents also. Secondly, strict guidelines of how the iPad is to be used, both inside and outside the classrooms, must be developed and followed. This is so that lessons can run smoothly, ensuring children are using their iPads for school-related work tasks specific to the lesson in which they are involved. Moreover, the appropriate use of the iPad by teachers both inside and outside the classroom. Thirdly, strict parameters need to be designed, tested and checked for the protection of children due to the wide range of inappropriate content on the internet. Financial viability also needs to be looked at. Technology upgrades, application costs and maintenance costs, all to consider the financial cost continuously upgrading the iPad, taking into account the cost of applications, e-textbooks, and finally looking at overall maintenance costs. Our final thought relates to supply and demand issues. Educational application demands, manufacturing demands, upgrade demands, and memory capability expansion, which all relate to ensuring Apple have the capability to meet the demand of a nation or a state.
Okay, just looking at our final concluding statement. In conclusion, there are many advantages and disadvantages of the iPad. At this point in time, it is hard to make a conclusive decision whether or not to implement iPads into Australian schools. With this in mind, it seems good in theory, but practical implementation may be unrealistic now until foreseeable disadvantages can be resolved by Apple in future models.
Be the charming type. Take off your gloves, show